What's up, guys? Welcome to GoGo Motoring YouTube channel. So in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about the key differences in the driving characteristics between my 2007 BMW Z4 M Roadster, which I'm driving here, and the regular Z4, the E85 generation, the 2003 BMW Z4 3.0i. So I've been an owner of both cars, have lived with both cars now with, at least a year with this one. And feel like I've gotten a pretty good sense of sort of the key driving differences, the three key differences in the driving characteristics between the Z4 M Roadster and the regular Z4. So the first one that I'm going to talk about, kind of the first thing I notice when I step into the BMW Z4, the M Roadster, as opposed to the regular Z4, is the limited slip differential that comes equipped in the Z4 M Roadster. So the M Roadster and the M Coupe have a limited slip differential, and the regular Z4 does not. And that creates a huge difference in the way the car feels when you're driving it on the twisties and the back roads, etc. The limited slip differential definitely makes the Z4 M Roadster more nimble than the regular Z4, and it almost kind of feels like an all-wheel drive system, honestly. When you're taking a turn, having that limited slip differential, like when you're taking like a 90-degree turn or a sharp turn, just keeps that back end very composed, keeps the front end very accurate, and enables you really to drive the car with absolute precision at the limit. So I didn't really think too much about the fact that the regular Z4s did not have a limited slip differential. Frankly, when I was driving the regular Z4 on the back roads, I thought it was an incredible car on the back roads, and it is. I think it's, it would probably put to shame many cars that are faster than it on paper when you put them on the back roads. But now that I have had an opportunity to drive the Z4M, I can tell you that it's that limited slip differential makes a big difference, and it makes an already great car, which the non-M Z4 is, an even better car, and even more of a precision driving instrument. So that's one. I think closely related to that is the steering in this car. So I think the Z4 M Roadster has a quicker steering ratio than the regular Z4, and what that results in is a car that's, again, like, you don't need to turn the wheel as much in order to get the car to go in the direction that you want it to go. So it makes the front end of the car very precise, and it requires less turning to get the car to go in the direction that you want it to go. It's also it's kind of razor sharp is probably the best way that I can describe it in comparison to the regular Z4. So especially so with that kind of combination of the limited slip differential in the back, the steering ratio in the front, man, when you're like driving the car on the twisties, the regular Z4 M Roadster or the Z4 M Roadster, it's just at another level in comparison to a regular Z4. Closely related to that as well is the fact that the Z4 M Roadster comes equipped with the hydraulic steering rack, as opposed to the electronically assisted steering rack in the regular Z4. And I don't have, that again makes a big difference in the way that the car feels. You get a lot more information transmitted to you through the steering wheel of the car. You kind of understand, what the front wheels are doing. You understand what the texture of the pavement is. I mean, the car does an outstanding job of communicating to you what, the front wheel is communicating to the driver through the steering wheel as to what's happening. And when you drive a non-M Z4, the fact of the matter is that steering feel is lacking. It's probably the worst part of the car, because it has that electrically assisted steering rack that's, just doesn't do as good of a job, obviously, as a hydraulically assisted steering rack. And on top of that, I think it creates kind of a dead spot in the middle when you're driving the car. So limited slip differential, quicker steering ratio, hydraulic steering. One other thing I love with the hydraulic steering is that with the hydraulic steering rack, the steering is a lot kind of heavier. It's more weighty in comparison to the regular Z4, where the steering feels kind of light. Now that can kind of play a little bit of a trick on you, just in terms of like your perception of whether the car is nimble. So when the car, you know, like with that electronically assisted steering rack, because it's electronically assisted, it doesn't take a lot of effort to move the steering wheel, and the car, you know, responds to your inputs. With the Z4M, because it's a hydraulically assisted steering rack, it's heavier weight. The steering is more weighted, so it requires more of you to like move the wheel. And in some ways, like the hydraulically assisted steering, like that heavier weighted steering, can sometimes make you think the car is less nimble than the regular Z4. Just because, you know, with the regular Z4, because it doesn't take a lot of effort to move the wheel and then the car responds, it just makes you think that the car is just more kind of responsive and lighter on its feet. But it's really not. Like, in terms of like, if you were to kind of compare how much time, like, you know, if you were like kind of to track yourself on the back roads, and if you were in a Z4M, obviously I think you go a lot faster than you would in the the regular Z4, and I don't think that it would be as like I mean, it would probably be more nimble in that regard as well. But just kind of a side note. Another thing that you notice in terms of the difference in the driving characteristics between the Z4M and the regular Z4 are the brakes. So the brakes that are on the Z4M are obviously larger, and they have better stopping power than the brakes in a regular Z4 Roadster. And again, that's another thing that's noticeable from the driver's seat. I mean, when you hit the brakes in a Z4M, this thing stops on a dime, and stops way sooner than you know, a regular Z4 would, as you would expect. I mean, these cars are built to go on track, and the brakes are certainly a level above what you get in a regular Z4. So I think that they do a much better job of stopping the car, and then they also have less brake fade in comparison to the brakes that are on a regular Z4. And you know, I guess another thing is, you know, my Z4, the regular Z4, didn't come equipped with these sport seats. These sport seats in these M Roadsters have much more bolstering on the sides, both around kind of the lower area and your shoulders, and they do a better job of holding you in, you know, your position as the driver when you're driving the car hard. So the seats make a big difference and do a much better job of kind of hugging you in comparison to the non, you know, sport seats that are in the regular Z4. And then finally, the engine, right? I mean, the engine in this Z4 M Roadster is legendary. The S54, the same engine that's in the E46 M3, an engine that has a red line that kind of begins at like 7,900, 8,000 RPM, and an engine that produces most of its power when you're revving it out and when you're high up in the rev range. And just the power that you have from that S54 engine, and sort of the mechanical sound, the mechanical raspy sound that the engine produces, can't be matched by the M54 that was, you know, in my 2003 BMW Z4, or even in the N52, which came into the facelifted versions of the Z4, you know, 2006 and beyond, and the same engine that's in my 2007 BMW 328i Coupe. So even though I love the M54, I love the N52, I love the N55 in my 335 when I had that, but this S54 engine that's in this Z4 M Roadster is just on another level. And there's a reason, you know, that it won so many awards, and there's a reason that the cars that come equipped with this engine have effectively become, you know, cult favorites, cult classics, both the E46 M3, obviously the Z4 M Roadster and the Z4 M Coupe. So the engine, the power at your disposal that you get in an M Roadster or M Coupe as opposed to a regular Z4 is noticeable. I mean, this engine produces more than 100 horsepower more than the engine, the M54 in my 3.0i, and you know, a lot more torque as well. So you are just dealing with a different league of car. You know, as evidenced by the fact, you know, if you check the Nürburgring road, you know, times for the Z4 M Roadster and the Z4 M Coupe, you'll be surprised the types of cars that it has beaten around the track. And I'll probably make another video kind of sharing that list with you all. So yeah, to recap, you know, the key sort of driving characteristics you feel in the Z4 M Roadster as opposed to a regular Z4 starts with a limited slip differential, the quicker steering ratio, the hydraulic steering, the what else is this? The brakes, and then obviously the engine. And you know, the regular Z4 is an amazing car. I loved owning the regular Z4, and as mentioned in my kind of review of this car, that car has, you know, it's a very different type of a vehicle than the Z4 M Roadster or the Z4 M Coupe is. So, not taking anything away from that car, but when you get in these M cars, they're on another level. And if you can pick one up in 2025, I strongly advise you to do that, because there's such a limited number of these cars that have been produced, and their value is only going to go up because they don't make cars like this anymore. These cars that have this raw feel to them, these cars that are analog, the definition of an analog sports car, and these cars that are just an absolute hoot to drive. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below, share this video, and stay tuned for more videos. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be making a lot more videos with this Z4 M Roadster, and you know, taking you on this ownership journey with this amazing car. Thanks guys.